Adventure modifications are the first things that everyone does on a motorcycle before traveling, right? Fair enough, but what is really necessary and what is just money wasted for nothing? In this video, I'm gonna share my opinion on this topic, so if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. The first and maybe the most important thing that you have to do after you purchase a new motorcycle is to ride it as much as possible. This will give you the chance to get used to it and also will show you what kind of modifications you might or you might not need. I have seen many people, including some of my close friends, ordering all these so-called adventure modifications before they even touch the new motorcycle that they plan to ride in the future. So how are they going to know what exactly they need? Based on the opinion of other people like me, can I tell you what exactly you need? No, I can tell you what I need. If you ask 10 people, they will give you 10 different opinions, and each one of them will swear that his modifications are must-haves. And what is interesting that each one of them is going to be right. For example, I can tell you that you must have an exhaust from MIF 450 euros, stiffer springs front and rear 220 euros, handles, luggage plate and GPS holder from Donnerter for 750 euros, a bash plate from Motvest 250 euros, guards from Acerbis 100 euros, K&N filter for 60 euros, heated grips from Oxford another 100 euros, different tail for 100 euros and so on and so on. So far around 2000 euros, and I did not list here some of the most expensive modifications. Like the whole generation for 1500 euros, Power Commander for 500 euros, new cartridge for your folks 500 euros, the last model GPS for 600 euros, hard panels and top box for another 1000 euros. Wait a minute, Pavlen, you talk a lot, but you have all of these modifications on your motorcycle, right? True, but the way I use my motorcycle, it's a little bit different than you, right? And also don't forget that some of these modifications I got for free, so I am not an example. 90% of the riders who watch my or other travel channels cannot afford to travel much because they don't have time. Because of work, family, obligations, so on and so forth. So why they will need all of these modifications on their motorcycles where they do not have any time to travel? If they stand in front of me and say, Pavlen, you know, I like this adventurous mood, I like to prepare my motorcycle, I like to spend money for this and for that, this gives me a pleasure, I just want to do it, but it doesn't matter will I travel or not, I will perfectly understand. To prepare your motorcycle is a part of the adventure, even if you never use it. But let's be honest, say it as it is. As I said, if you can afford it, why not? But most of the people cannot, and even so, they spend a lot of money on this instead of traveling with this money. Fair enough, Pavlen. But what is the solution? To ride the motorcycle on its stock condition as it is? Yes, absolutely. For the first 1000 kilometers or until you break it in, ride it in its stock condition. You don't need to change anything at all. First, you need to learn your motorcycle. First, you need to understand what the motorcycle can give you, what you can handle, and only then you can decide what to do. This testing period will give you many answers and you will have a better idea what you might or might not need for the future. For example, I changed the springs on my forks and my shock absorber and also the exhaust after I completed more than 20,000 kilometers in almost stock condition with this motorcycle. It was not necessary before that, or at least I wanted to see on a real trip, on a real travel, how exactly it performs on an off-road, and only then I decided to change it. I'm not saying that you have to be like me, but at least to think in this direction. Even some of the most simple modifications like handlebar risers or a new windscreen or a different seat might not be necessary. It is absolutely normal when you have a new motorcycle that you don't feel it right at the moment. It will take time until you get used to it. After a couple of weeks or months, it will be just perfect. And then if you switch back again to your old motorcycle, you'll feel the same discomfort. Or, with other words, you will need some modifications to make it for you, even though it was for you before you changed the model. And something very important. Just because you don't have all of these so-called adventure modifications on your model does not make you less adventurer than others. Also, if you have anything that you can imagine, the top of the list, everything for 5,000–10,000 euros cannot guarantee that you will have a better experience on your trips. It will only guarantee that the money is spent. Let me now give you a few examples that I hope will help you to understand everything that I just told you. For that purpose, I'm gonna use my Tenere, but this could be applied to any brand and model. A person who is going to ride mostly on the asphalt roads or light dirt roads, and he or she is not heavy, will be perfectly fine with the stock suspension. The stock windscreen will be more than enough for many riders. Even if you're tall like me, it will be alright. To be honest, I like it. I like the design. I like what protection it provides. Yes, definitely if I have 10 centimeters higher and wider, it will definitely protect more from the wind and the rain, but then I will have another problems. I won't be able to see when I need to ride off-road. Also, the buffeting will go on a different position, so they are never perfect. If you don't have at all, then it's a different story. You definitely need to buy something. But even your stock screen on your motorcycle will be enough to make at least one trip and see how it is. I don't have any problems with the stock seat. The only modification that I have made is this 3D mesh on the top, and it is perfectly fine for me for thousands of kilometers. But that's me. For you, might be different. Always keep in mind that the first impression on your seat is not exactly what it will be after a couple of hours. For example, when you sit on very hard seat, like this one on my Tenere, you might say, oh, it is terrible, how I'm gonna ride it on many days and months. But from my experience, harder seat is better when you travel a lot. Soft seats will give you the first fake impression that it's very comfortable, very soft, very nice, but after a couple of hours or hundreds of kilometers, you will realize that you have the feeling that you sit on the frame. So harder seat, harder compound, it's way better, but you wouldn't know that until you spent enough hours on it. Another one example is the riding position. I'm 185 centimeters or a little bit above 6 foot. And this Tenere is perfectly fine for me. I don't need any bar risers or any different pegs or seat modifications. Everything is just perfect for me. And again, you need time to prove it. The first time when I sat on it, I thought that maybe the foot pegs need to be a little bit lower, because these were the foot pegs of my old Tenere. And maybe the handlebar need bar risers, but after a couple of months, now I think that it's perfect. It will be the same with your standing position. Try it first, couple of days, weeks, months if necessary. And only then you can decide it. Do you need changes or not? The power that this engine generates, this 72 horsepower, are more than enough for me to see the whole world. Alright, I understand that you might be different. You might like to twist a little bit more to feel more power, or maybe you're coming from a powerful motorcycle. But even if you have 160 or 200 horsepower, sooner or later you will have some moments that you will need more. So the power is never enough. That's why I prefer to stick to reliability instead of power. But that's me. I changed my original paper filter with K&N. Even though I understand that the K&N filter does not protect that well as a normal standard stock paper filter, but because I travel a lot, I don't want to think about the filter at all. I don't want to carry a spare with me or to look for a shop to buy a spare when the time comes. So you know, usually the paper filter need to be changed every 10 or 20,000 kilometers. Now, my last trip to Russia last year was 40,000 kilometers, which is mean at least 2 changes. But with a K&N filter, I can remove it, wash it, lube it, and use it again. On the other hand, for the average Joe that is riding his motorcycle once per week or once per year for 2-3 weeks, a standard paper filter is just fine. It will last for many kilometers. You don't need to spend any money. Heated grips are must-have for me, but I ride in many different countries in many different temperatures. But for example, if you ride only in the summer or if you live in hot climate, you might never need it. That's why it's so different what one will suggest compared to the needs of another. I ride alone and I don't have much luggage. That's why big hard panniers or top box are pointless to me. I have this plate here more with aesthetic functions than a real use. As I said, I don't have top box, so I don't really need this, but it's matched very well with the handles that I need all the time when I need to push my motorcycle, lift it on center stand, or when I have a passenger at least to grab it. But this is not necessary. But again, as I said, this is more with an aesthetic function than a real use. That's why I always said the motorcycle needs to be customized for your needs. Center stand is a must-have for me, but I travel a lot and I use it every time when I need to loop the chain, for example, or if I have a flat tire, rear or front. But for someone who do not travel and only use the motorcycle for the weekends for a couple of hours, it will be only not necessary weight. I can continue like that all day long, but I hope that you get the idea. You cannot know what kind of modifications you need until you spend enough kilometers with your motorcycle. There are no shortcuts and you cannot have advice from anyone. Because you're a different person and you have different needs, you have different ergonomics, everything is different. I hope that this video will help to at least one person to make the right choice. Press like or dislike, whatever it deserves. If you subscribe, even better. If you want to know more about my travel videos, go and check the second channel, Motorcycle Adventures Life. Over there, I upload once per week my videos from Magadan. On the third channel, Motorcycle Adventures live streams, I upload live streams once per week. All the details will be in the description down below. See you next time. Ciao.